Okay, so today is February 20th. It's 2/20/20. And tonight's homework is lesson 20, number 2. So we're doing lesson 20, number 2 on 2/20/20. I think that's kind of strange. Anyway, the question number 2 says 4 members of a track team run a relay race in 165 seconds. How many minutes did it take them to run the race? So what I want you to do when you watch this video, boys and girls, is try a step, like pause the video, try a step, unpause the video, and check your work, okay? So the first thing I want you to try is to box in and underline this problem and write an answer statement. So if you want to, you can pause the video now, box in, underline, and write your answer statement. Okay. So I'm going to start here. There's 4 members of a track team. I know that's like 4 people running the race. And they run the relay race in 165 seconds. So that right there is their total time for the race. Here's our question. We're going to underline it. How many minutes did it take them to run the race? And I'm going to box in minutes. So we're looking for units of measurement here. And here our units of measurement are time measurements. We have seconds and we have minutes. So there's a conversion here. I'm going to make myself a note. There's a conversion. We're going to go from seconds to minutes. And I know that the information I need to do that conversion is this: 1 minute equals 60 seconds. And that's something that you should have memorized by now. A couple other conversions that you should have memorized: 1 minute equals 60 seconds. 60 minutes in an hour, so 1 hour equals 60 minutes. 24 hours equals 1 day. 7 days equals 1 week. So those are some examples of things that you should know already, in addition to the fact that like 1 foot equals 12 inches, 1 yard equals 3 feet. Those are other ones that you might want to practice at home and make sure you have memorized. Okay, so back to the problem. My answer statement, the question is how many minutes did it take them to run the race? We want to match that as closely as possible. It took them blank minutes to run the race. Okay, so we know the total race is 165 seconds, but we need to know how many minutes that is. So we take our 155 seconds equals blank minutes. Okay, that's the first step in setting up this conversion. We've been setting up our conversions a certain way all year. So for consistency's sake, I'd like you to set it up this way. I think it's easy to learn this process and just to be consistent throughout the year. No matter what kind of conversion we're doing, we can fall back on this method. So once you have this conversion set up, 165 seconds equals blank minutes, you're going to bring down your units of measurement, which here are seconds and minutes, and also bring down that equal sign straight down. So once you have that step done, you decide which is the bigger unit of measurement: minutes or seconds. I know minutes are bigger than seconds because it takes 60 seconds to equal 1 minute. So I'm going to fill in that information. 60 seconds equals 1 minute. My equal sign's a little strange there. Let me fix that. Okay, so I want you to pause the video and see, do you know what the next step is? And I want you to try it right now if you do. Okay, so your next step is to cover up the one down below and to circle what's left. Now I see these numbers are stacked vertically, almost like a fraction, 165/60ths. All right, so what we need to know here is that a fraction is an unfinished division problem. So when I look at this 165 over 60, I can read it from the top down as a division problem, 165 divided by 60. So I see my problem becomes 165 divided by 60. I'm going to come to the side, and what I'm going to do is use long division to solve this. Now that's not the only way you could solve it. You could take this as a fraction, 165/60ths. And you can turn it into a number bond and start pulling out however many 1 whole amounts you can. So 60/60ths is 1 whole. right? So you could continue to do that and find out what's left over, how many 60ths are left over after you pull out as many one whole amounts as you could. And you find the answer that way. Or you can use long division. Whenever I have an improper fraction, I can use division to turn it into a mixed number. So here, 165 60ths is 165 divided by 60. In a division expression, the numbers that come first are your dividend. Your dividend, it goes under the den, under the division house. So we have 165, and then our divisor is second. Here, the divisor is 60, and the divisor goes outside the house. So I start by saying, okay, 60 times what gets me close to 1? Well, 60 is bigger than 1, so that doesn't make sense. So I'm going to put an X above the 1. And now I'm going to grab 2 digits here and say 60 times what gets me something close to 16 without going over. 60 is still bigger than 16, so I'm going to put another X above that 6, and I'm going to grab all 3 digits and say 60 times what gets me close to 165. Well, it's pretty easy to skip count by 60s if you know how to skip count by 6. 6, 12, 18. Now it's not just 6, it's 60. So when we move from 6 to 60, we times by 10 or get 10 times bigger. So we can draw a 0 on here because when we get 10 times bigger, those numbers shift a place value bigger on the place value chart. So 6, 12, 18 is how we skip count by 6s. 60, 120, 180 is how we skip count by 60s. So I'm looking at what gets me close to 165 without going over. 180 is too much. I'm going to go with 120. That's 60 times 2. This 2 goes directly above the 5. Make sure that's placed right. 2 times 60 was 120. I subtract. 5 minus 0 is 5. 6 minus 2 is 4. So my answer becomes 2 and 45 60ths. I know that's my final answer. There's nothing left to bring down. When I subtract and I get my answer, it's smaller than my divisor, so I'm all set. 2 and 45 60ths. Now, you might look at this number, 2 and 45 60ths, and be like, that's a weird, amount. So let's talk about what that really means, 2 and 45 60ths. So this means we're talking how many minutes, right? 2 and 45 60th minutes. Well, that's strange, right? It's 2 whole minutes and then 45 60th of another minute. Well, when we look at a minute, 1 minute is 60 seconds. So we have 2 whole minutes and then 45 out of 60 seconds. 2 minutes, 45 seconds. 45 out of 60 seconds. Okay, so we'll say here the answer is 2 minutes, 2 and 45 60th minutes, or 2 minutes, 45 seconds. You could also say 2 minutes, 45 seconds. Okay, so I'll accept that 2 and 45 60ths here as your final answer. All right, boys and girls, I hope you have a great night and good luck on your homework. I can't wait to see you tomorrow. And if you want to try more problems, or if you want to make some flashcards with some equivalencies, you can. Things that we should know right now, I'm just going to make a list right here. We should know that 1 foot equals 12 inches. 1 yard equals 3 feet. We should know that 1 minute equals 60 seconds. 60 minutes equals 1 hour. 24 hours equals 1 day. 7 days equals 1 week. We could even know that 365 days equals 1 year. And I'm sure there's more of them that I can think of that you should have memorized. Obviously that the prefix is milli is 1,000, usually 1,000 times smaller than the regular unit of measurement. Kilo is 1,000 as well, usually 1,000 times bigger than the unit of measurement. And centi It usually stands for 100 times smaller than the unit of measurement. So those are something you should also know from earlier in the school year as well. So if you guys want to like make flashcards at home or practice these at home, that would only help you. Because these are things that we expect are memorized by this stage in the game by 5th grade. So if you don't have some of those memorized, that can be something that you can get extra practice at home with. All right, guys, well, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.